if you want to be able to deal with just about anything that life has to throw at you, then there's only one real requirement. And that is that you don't turn your back to things, to anything that happens, to anything you hear, to anything that people say, to any misfortune that happens to you. Don't turn your back on the spinning of the world, so to speak. Don't turn your back on anything that happens to you. Everything that happens to you, to the last detail, everything happens in your consciousness. Your awareness is always the center of everything, and in there everything happens. Don't turn your back on anything that happens in your consciousness. Your consciousness is always timeless. It's always right here, right now. It's never in time. And you never know what's going to happen around the corner. You never know what the next moment is going to be like. But your awareness needs to be up and high, meaning that nothing that happens is met by resistance, you see. That doesn't mean that you deem everything to be as good or as desirable or, as correct as everything else. Of course not. But everything is as it is, you see. Don't resist things. Don't turn your back on things. Then you'll see that everything happens in your consciousness for you alone. Nobody has the experience that you have in any given situation. If there are more people involved than just you, then everybody has a different experience of whatever the situation is. Your experience is felt inside of you. It is seen inside of you, inside of your brain, inside of your imagination as a perception. And it is felt inside of you, inside of your body as a feeling, an emotion. Don't turn your back on that, but let it completely be in your consciousness. Your consciousness can, because of fear, divert itself from certain things that happen. And when it does that, you divide, you create dualism. You divide the world into, you make it separate from you. You say, I am over here, the world is over there, and I can choose what happens and what not. You create the duality, you create the division between you and the world. That division is artificial, it's not real. You cannot turn your back on whatever happens. You cannot divide your experience from what you are. That's an illusion when we do that out of fear or ignorance. Usually both. Don't do that. What happens when you don't? Well, I'm going to have to let you find that out for yourself. But I can give you some hints, of course. But whatever I say is not really going to matter. You have to find that out for yourself. You have to try that. But what happens, what you're going to find is that if you do not resist what happens, again, this does not mean good or bad or anything like that. But whatever happens, happens. You are in no position to deny what happens, you see. So when you completely see everything as it is, without any resistance, you'll find that it cannot change you. You see, you will find that an emotion, a feeling, a negativity that happens inside of you, inside of your body, will be experienced, obviously, because as a reaction to what happens in the world, let's say a negative thing that happens. But that resistance, the resistance of that is what creates the true problem, is what creates the duality. If there is no duality, there is just a feeling, there's just a sensation, the emotion, and just try it. Try it, and you'll see what happens. Completely let everything be. More than just letting things be. Just realize that you are not in a position, you cannot turn your back on certain things and not on other things. Everything happens in front of you. We have that habit of denying things that happen. We do it subconsciously. Become aware of that. And don't divide anything. Don't divide the world. Don't divide you as opposed to what happens. You and what happens is one and the same thing. You are what happens. And everything that happens is uniquely for you. Nobody has your experience. If I look at the color green and maybe I say, oh, that's beautiful, I want to decorate my entire living room in green. And you might say, I would never do that because I don't like green. We're looking at the same thing, no? Well, no, of course not. Your green is not my green. Everybody has a different experience of every moment. Your experience of every moment is uniquely yours, and you cannot divide yourself from it. If you don't divide yourself from your experience, you will see that the feeling in yourself, the sensation to whatever happens, is just a sensation. And the whole perception of good and bad and whatever happens to you that it can hurt you, that old perception is going to change. Is going to take on another form. Try it.